Greetings, kindred. So the full moon will reach its peak on the 19th of August 2024 at 19:25 here in the GMT time zone, at 14:25 in the EDT time zone, and the full moon will reach its peak on the 20th of August at 4:25 in the AEDT time zone. And as the full moon reaches its peak, it will be at 27 degrees in Capricorn. Now, this is astronomical data. So, for those of you that are not familiar with my astrology work, I work with 13 star signs, but I also work with the true lifetime sky, which is astronomical data. So, let's get into it. So, the moon in Capricorn overall, I mean, it's kind of like a reserved, cautious energy. It can also come across as pretty kind of like austere. It's very material based. I don't want to say materialistic, it's not the right term. It's really the values the Capricorn energy holds is more about the material, physical, rather than the spiritual. And that kind of goes for really all earth signs, since Capricorn is an earth sign. They really do come with different strategies from like fire or water signs or even air signs at times. Although air signs can really, detach emotionally and just deal with logic. But I would say that, the moon in Capricorn, I would say that is the kind of more harshest, if you like, of all the earth signs when it comes to making decisions that are based on, the material factors and not spiritual values. Spiritual values don't really come into the equation. And there is a reason why I'm saying this, Also, when the moon is in Capricorn, it's in its detriment. So, it's not really an ideal place for the moon to be. But, the one thing I will give credit for with the Capricorn moon is it's very, very hard-working moon, a very, very ambitious moon. But there is also like a personal bias to that. And, which is more kind of coming from a place of like personal gain, or not just for personal factors, but also like, for those that are close to them, they're very much into their little community. It can be a very controlling energy. So, the Capricorn moon really, it can come across sometimes as a little bit self-absorbed or a little bit selfish. To me, Saturn is very kind of like a political planet. Saturn is the ruler of Capricorn. Capricorn actually rules the 12th house in 13 Star Sign Astrology, or I should say in the True Lifetime Sky Astrology. Now, in traditional astrology, Saturn is supposed to rule the 10th house, and it's all about status, career. And really, in the True Lifetime Sky Astrology, the 11th house of Jupiter is more kind of like the front line of like political establishments, corporations. It's more the faces up front. It's also the area of where we do our marketing, where we may travel, and stuff like that. Whereas the 12th house is really the house of Saturn, the house of Capricorn. And that really is about the executive, the ones behind the scenes, the pen pushers, the ones that make the rules and regulations. And they are higher status. So, that's just to give you a better understanding of the Capricornian energy in the True Lifetime Sky Astrology. Now, straight off the cuff, I mean, we do have the sun actually, who's always in opposition at a full moon at 8 degrees in Leo, conjuncts both Mercury, who's retrograding in Leo at the moment. And even though that retrograde will come to an end on the 28th of August, it will go into post shadow. So I think it's around about the beginning of September, it completely comes out of retrograde, the post shadow phase. And I have written an article for that, and that will be linked below wherever you're watching this. And also, while we're at it, I might as well talk about Uranus, because Uranus will go into retrograde on the 1st of September, and that will be at 3 degrees in Taurus in the true lifetime sky. And I have also written an article on Uranus because Uranus did transit into Taurus in April of this year, which was a big energy shift. So I have written an article covering the retrograde phase as well. So that will also be linked below. Also, I did write an article on the Lionsgate portal, and that will be relevant because, even though the portal was apparently closed on the 12th of August, the 22nd of August is actually very, very important too, because that's when our sun comes into conjunction with Regulus, which is the main star of Leo, and Regulus is actually considered the heart chakra of Leo. So that's normally where we start integrating all the Lionsgate energy, and that's very significant because we have a yod aimed right towards the sun and Regulus on the 22nd, with Pluto and Neptune in sextile, creating quincunxes towards the sun and Regulus. And that's going to be a very intense day for many. So I will also link that below as well. There's also, someone very kindly put the Lionsgate portal article into video format. I will link both below for you, and, whatever you prefer, either to watch a video or read an article. But anyway, let's get on back to the full moon. So straight off the cuff, as I was going to say, just before I went into the sun being in Leo, etc., our moon is involved in a grand cross with the sun, Mercury, Vesta, on one side of this grand cross. The moon's on the other corner, I should say. And then we have Pallas, who's 16 degrees in Libra on one corner. And we also have Uranus on the other corner. So Uranus is at 3 degrees, and he will start his retrograde at 3 degrees as well, like I said, and that will be on the 1st of September. So as you can see, it's the 19th of August, and Uranus will still be at 3 degrees on the 1st of September. So you can see it's a slow moving planet. I mean, from Saturn onward, the planets get slower and slower. So they tend to hold their spot for longer. Now, this grand cross is very challenging. I have spoken about this, I think, in definitely the Mercury retrograde article. I definitely cover this grand cross aspect there. But, it's very, very challenging, and it kind of stirs up a lot of resentment, and there's a lot of changes, and but there's really not much diplomacy that goes alongside all that. Do you know what I mean? It can also be very political or military. I won't go into all the details of it because I have already gone into it in my article, the Mercury retrograde article, because this grand cross is a little bit ongoing. But really, I think, we're already seeing what's going on out in certain countries, especially here in the UK. I did actually get a message from someone in Australia saying things are really not that great out there either. And I know in the US, it is that time where things are going to start getting pretty intense because you've got the elections coming up. So the energies really, even from June, have been intensifying. And that will continue, but we're going to see an escalation of problems around the economy, problems around kind of new rules and regulations. And definitely there's going to be this continuous building of nervous energy, whereas some of us can be, I should say, where some of us could feel like we're being pulled in different directions. So, there's also a danger here of some of us jumping to conclusions, jumping on bandwagons. I mean, this Grand Cross is really saying that we need to really, take things step by step. Don't jump on bandwagons. Don't jump to conclusions, especially with Mercury and retrograding through Leo, because there can be a little bit kind of too much ego, which kind of counteracts common sense. Do you know what I mean? But at the same time, it's like there's a lot of frustration, a lot of building of resentment going on around this energy. So I think if we're feeling that, we need to kind of just reflect a little bit. And I don't think, people in general need to reflect. I really think it's an all round reflection that's needed on what's going on within our political organisations. Do you know what I mean? And certain things they're bringing into effect. And, I think things are happening very, very quickly, very, very fast. And some people can't adapt to change very quickly. And, I just feel that it's just kind of one drama after another as well. And I think there's a lot of exhaustion around this nervous energy. A lot of with Saturn involved here and the Black Moon Lilith. I want to get into the Black Moon Lilith in a little while. The good thing is Saturn being in retrograde does slow us down a little bit. And in trying to Palace can help us come up with better strategies or better solutions. But it's how we put that across where we want to be heard, put it that way. It's how we're putting it across. And what I'm seeing here with the energy is there's not enough tact or showing of care. Even if we do care, there's a lack of showing that. It's very kind of dictatorial, the energy I'm seeing here, which can actually rile up a lot of resentment and frustration, and where people can, misunderstand what's being said. So I feel there is a lot of misunderstandings, and this isn't just on a political level. I also think it's in general, there's a clashing of energies here where, we just need to do some deep breathing, take our time, get our head around things that are being said. I also feel there's an energy here as well where it can be kind of petty. Do you know what I mean? Or, yeah, I just feel that we need to just be aware of our surroundings and be aware of what we're hearing more so, or communicating, and how we're putting things across. Sometimes things can be put across in a way that's kind of polite in mannerism, but there's a coldness there as well where it's not authentic. Do you know what I mean? It's that kind of energy. So, yeah, I just feel there's a lot of disruption here in this chart that I'm seeing, very disruptive energy. But it has been like that. It has been ongoing for quite a while. And, it is very exhausting. I mean, we haven't had a break. I've been saying that for the last few years. It's like, it's just one thing after another, and goalposts keep being shifted all the time. And, there's no time just to really just focus on everyday living in a comfortable way because there's just so much pressure. Take a break away from the media, from social media, even, just take a break sometimes and just stop and do some deep breathing. Yeah, I just feel there's a lot of confusion, um, and a lot of unconscious emotional patterns can actually distort our ability to think and communicate with this moon opposition Mercury retrograde. So, there needs to be, I mean, with all that's going on, there really does need to be more of a collaboration of different perspectives that need to be heard and need to be aligned with the reality of what's going on in the world around us, so we can create positive change. And with the moon in Capricorn, it's like, yeah, I don't feel like that's happening, and I just feel it's causing a lot of frustration. So this T-square with the black moon Lilith conjunct Venus in opposition to Saturn, who's in retrograde, and square both Mars and Jupiter. And Mars has just gone over Jupiter, actually. So there was a conjunction recently between these two. I did speak about that in my last video or the video before last. Yeah, it's pretty wild, that conjunction, because, Jupiter expands and Mars is very active. But this T-square that's aimed towards it, it's kind of like, wow, a lot of emotional frustration, especially around finances, a lot of restriction, lack of joy, heavy responsibilities. Finances are kind of like, again, because it's the moon in Capricorn, but this actual energy supports out this Venus in opposition to Saturn, will, choose finances over spiritual values. So with Venus conjunct the black moon Lilith, it can bring in a lack of joy and obviously breakdowns of relationships. But, the one good thing here is the black moon Lilith is actually conjunct Venus rather than in opposition. So with the conjunction, Venus actually balances out the darker tendencies of the black moon Lilith. So it could be worse. And I think I spoke about this T-square as well in my Mercury retrograde article because it sounds familiar as I'm saying it. And as in opposition, as they're both in opposition to Saturn, like I said, a lot of emotional frustration, a lot of problems around finances, but also very unstable foundations or structures, very kind of like puts our routine out of sync as well. And also, some people can be their own worst enemies, you know what I mean? But overall, it does feel like things are just falling apart. So, there's a lot of healing and transformation that can come out of this energy because sometimes, we have to hit rock bottom before we get back up. And this doesn't apply to every single person, because these energies will affect us all differently. But as a global community or within our, communities in general, we are going to start to see like problems around finances or the economy. I think we're already seeing that and witnessing that anyway. But I just feel there's an escalation now. I just feel, there's a lot of different perspectives that need to come together and collaborate and make decisions, for the highest and best, really. But, be authentic and realistic about those. I don't feel really now is a good time anyway to make big major decisions, especially since Mercury's in retrograde. It's not a time for that, but it is a time for contemplation. It is a time to look at long range goals and reevaluate them. And that's not just for the everyday person, but also, for certain establishments and institutions out there. Maybe they need to go over things and start reevaluating their long range goals as well, because especially when it comes to the economy, but also, with what's being put out, how we're dealing with people, how we are also reacting. We need to, especially if these problems are surrounding those that we are close to. But I do feel that within groups, certain groups out there is a lot of dissatisfaction brewing. That's what I feel as well. So it's kind of like an in-house kind of escalation of differences of opinions, different perspectives, and this is going to cause a little bit of chaotic energy. But anyway, Kindred, I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to link all the articles below. I hope I've made sense today in what I'm saying. It's like I can't even believe it's the full moon. It's been like that for the last few months. I feel like it was only yesterday I did a video on the new moon. And here we are already at the full moon, and I just don't know where that time has gone. But anyway, and as always, I'm sending you peace and much love. Take care.